Alright, I know it's been a hot minute since I released a Papa Louie video. In fact, it's been a couple of weeks since I did a video in general. You know. Green Ethan, he's been away for a couple of weeks, so I decided to take a break from videos and whatnot, but I'm just gonna keep the White Tiger special for now. It's nice, easy. It's easy to remember, and it gives lots of points. But yeah, we are in New Year because we ended off ending Christmas, so we're gonna be in New Year now. So we're gonna get that situated. But yeah, I just took a break from videos. However, I did record 2 Metopia videos. Within these, 2.5, 3 weeks or so. It's been around that since I've uploaded the video, like publicly. So yeah, I did record 2 Metopia videos, which I will briefly talk about them again. So when I do premiere them, you guys will know what they're about. But yeah, originally I wasn't gonna record at all until Green Ethan came back from his wherever he went. But I think he went on a vacation or something, because for a while his Wattpad was closed, and he usually closes it when he's on vacation, for cautionary reasons, and because he doesn't want to deal with trolls, scammers, and just general Wattpad issues. So he closes it, so for that reason as well. So he doesn't have to worry about worry about anything happening while he's gone, or coming back to anything. Everything can be just how it was. So yeah, because it's been he had his account closed for a couple of weeks, so I think he was at some type of summer event, or camp, or a vacation. But much to my excitement, he did come back, I believe, tomorrow or the day before, so I'm happy about that. I'm not sure when I'm gonna be premiering those 2 Metopia videos. I'm still thinking about that, because number one, I don't know when Green Ethan is going to be available for premieres. He did open up his account, but I haven't heard anything on his side regarding premieres. Plus, I've been going to sleep actually when we've been doing premieres. My sleep schedule is versatile. There's times where I'm up all night, and I sleep during the day. But there's also times where I'll sleep through the majority of the night. So I've been mostly asleep when we usually do premieres, so I've been available myself on my end as well. So I'm not sure when we're gonna be returning to premieres. However, I thought it would be a good opportunity to get another Scooperia episode out next, because I don't plan on premiering these anymore, at least for the foreseeable future. I kind of want to just release these regularly, just record and release right away without having to premiere these videos. I rather save my premieres for my Harvest Moon and Utopia. Sorry if this is taking long. It's kind of hard. I'm kind of trying to search through stuff, but I'm getting distracted by, you know, talking about giving all these updates. So I apologize for that, but we're getting there. Hold on, let me adjust my mouse pad a little bit, my mic a little bit. There we go. I don't. My mic is weird. It tends to get knocked over very easily, but all right. That'll work for now. Hopefully, sometimes I think I'll have it positioned properly, but all of a sudden it gets knocked over. So, yeah. Sometimes I have to just keep an eye on it. Okay, close. Then we'll be done. Hopefully you guys... Okay, yeah. It's going pretty loudly. According to OBS, but... Yeah. I don't mind, taking my time with, Metopia and Harvest Moon. Especially Metopia. I like to take my time with those games, but Hopaloo, on the other hand... I'm actually looking forward to getting into the later games, because, even though I still love Papa Scooperia, don't get me wrong, but it does feel kind of, like, outdated nowadays. So I am ready to get to newer and newer games. But, yeah. Alright. You know what? I'm picky, so I'm gonna buy the pink... Well, not the, the light pink dress, but... Because that's not a part of New Year's, but I'm gonna buy the... No! The, hot pink dress, the dark pink dress. Then we can finally get started. And as always, I prefer to only play half the holiday at a time, to be honest. Because, if I do, like, like actual, like, whole holidays, they do tend to drag out and get tedious, so, yeah, I prefer to just do, like, half holidays. Alright. We'll do put some more furniture up. Because the stupid fucking freshness feature. Yeah. That's one reason why I'm looking forward to being done with this game. I hate the freshness feature. That's the one feature I feel like we could do without. Good fucking riddance. Alright. Alright, we're doing okay. The freshness meter went up a little bit. We're doing a little bit better. 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 But yeah, it does take a little bit of time to get set up. But once we move on to Pancakeria, it won't take us quite as long since we won't have freshness to deal with, so I don't have to rearrange my furniture as much. I can just maybe add some stuff and replace the flooring and the wallpaper. But here we go. We're finally getting started with the main part of the game. But yeah, like I said, I know it's been a minute since I've it's been a minute since I've done a Papa Louie video, but it's also been a few weeks since I've done a video in general, but yeah, I was just thinking, you know what, it's been a while since I've done a video. It might be a good idea to get a Scooperia video out and, catch everyone up on what's been going on. Because I did give some updates, but they're in my Metopia videos. And, I'm still not sure when I'm gonna be able to release them. Because like I said, the thing is, like I said, I wasn't originally gonna planning on, or at least premieres, videos I was kind of considering it, which I'm finally doing it, but premiere, putting out unlisted, premieres that I knew I wasn't gonna premiere for a while, like I said, I wasn't originally gonna do it, but things were happening, so I wanted to talk about them. So I decided to put a couple out. And like I said, I'm gonna be talking a little bit about them in this video, because I want to catch you guys up, especially you, Green Ethan, if you're watching this. Because I know we haven't talked in a couple of weeks, but, things have actually been going on, things have been a bit hectic, a bit up and down. So, I'm going to get into that here in a little bit. And I'll also talk about maybe, like, what's going to happen in the near future. But first I'll talk about, what's been going on these past few weeks. But yeah, the reason I made, the first Metopia video, oh fuck. Fuck, 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 fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. Stupid cookies that take 2 seconds to burn. 4 episodes left. This is the 4th to last episode. I was originally planning on getting all the stickers, but now I'm leaning against it because I want to move back to Pancakeria. You know, I've already started my Pancakeria, but there's no point in starting over, so I'll just pick up where I left off. Pancakeria to go. Oh my god, these customers are gonna be the end of me. But yeah, the first Metopia video I made, it was back on June, I believe, 24th. And I actually made, I made that video for a positive reason. And I was just in a good mood that day, so I wanted to talk about it. But so far, we'll just say so far, because I heard that they could re-review stuff and change their mind, but it does look like, but, you know, I went to the DMV again on the 24th, because back on the 12th, you know, I didn't have enough documentation to get my ID. So we tried again on the 24th, and you know, the woman we got that reviewed our documents, you know, she actually accepted our documents, and you know, I did everything I needed to get for my ID, and you know, I signed the signatures, I took the thumbprints, and I took a picture. So it looks like I am finally gonna get my ID, unless you know, something unfortunate happens. Cause the thing is, you know, we don't get our IDs right away. We do have to wait, like, you know, a couple of weeks or so and for it to come in the mail. So we've been, and you know, it's past the 2-week mark, you know, as you guys know. So right now we're just waiting. But, you know, I'm not really too worried about it right now because, you know, my dad still, you know, my dad also had to get his license renewed. And, you know, he's also waiting on that, so I'm not really worried about re-revealing unless he gets his license, but I don't get my ID. I think, unfortunately, a lot of the times, it just takes a little bit longer than the you know, 2 weeks. So we're actually planning on, me and my dad, we're actually planning on, you know, going to the store either tomorrow or Sunday. We're not sure yet, but he plans to check the mail then. Now, we actually did go out today, but we decided to not check the mail today because, number one, we brought home food for lunch. And, you know, we wanted we wanted to get home as soon as possible so the food could be as fresh as possible. So we decided to not check the mail, you know, today. But, you know, second of all, you know, we're not planning on doing anything, you know, any of my stuff until a little bit later on, like, you know, at least after the weekend is over, so it wouldn't have change anything in the long run. Plus, checking it all the time, you know, I feel like that can sometimes worsen your luck, you know? It might be best to, like, you know... Wait, what the fuck? Oh, they want the cones on the side, not... I put one cone in the middle. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, we gotta make nooses before we do anything else. Especially because he's a closer. You know how closers can be. But, yeah. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's better to, like, you know, wait, you know, a few extra days. Because that might give you better luck when you're trying to, when you're, like, trying to wait for something to come in the mail, for example. So hopefully by, you know, the weekend or after the weekend, at least, he will finally have his renewed driver's license. And I will finally have my ID. Now, the DPS did give us, like, you know, temporary paper, you know, driver's license for my dad and, you know, ID for me, but, you know, he wants to wait till I have, like, my actual ID to start to get my social security card and my other social security stuff going, so, yeah, that's why I'm still very eager to get my actual ID. Plus, in the long run, it'll just be helpful for a lot of stuff, so, yeah. I actually had a dream a few days ago that I got my ID in the mail finally, but it was just a dream, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm not gonna worry too much about it. If my dad gets his license, but I don't get my ID, you know, then I know something will be up. But since he's also waiting on his license, you know, sometimes, you know, it just takes time to make those things, and then, you know, getting those, you know, things mailed can be you know, a separate process in itself. So, yeah. I think we just, hopefully, as it seems right now, we just need to wait a little bit longer. Hopefully, it will be out. Yeah, see, 99% on the bake station, and I barely waited to take them off. I can't wait to move on to Pancakeria. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get all the stickers in these games, cause the thing is, the minigame is not in this game, but it's in, you know, a lot of its successors. But I just cannot beat it. It's JoJo's Burger Match, or, you know, JoJo's Burger Slots, JoJo's Burger Match, you know. That minigame. I just can't, I can barely get past the first level, so, yeah. And I feel like worrying about getting all the badges or stickers is gonna just cause stress, so I'd rather just cruise through these games normally and see how many stickers I end up with. I'll just get the stickers that, you know, that's what I'll do. I'll just get the stickers that I, you know, as many stickers as I can, and then by the time we unlock Papa Louie and cycle back to the first holiday, we'll see how much stickers we have. It'll be a fun little experiment for each game area. But yeah, I'm using white. I'm just gonna use the white tiger special for the majority of the the remainder of this Let's Play, because I do want to get into other newer Papa Louie games. So yeah, I kind of just want to rush, for lack of better words, through the remainder of Scooperia. Especially because, some things, the freshness, the waiting, the baking, it's just not handled very well, so yeah, I kind of want to get it out of the way. But yeah, my dad and I, I'll get into what the other Metopia video is about, in a little bit. But, but the first Metopia video, it was basically me being happy to finally be getting my ID. Well, partially, I took the picture and then, signed the papers and this, signed my signature, my thumbprints, and got my picture taken, So that part's out of the way, unless something unfortunate happens. But hopefully, like I said, we just need to wait for it to come in the mail. But yeah, that's basically the extent of the first Metopia video I did on the 24th. Me being happy about finally, well, not getting, but, just, waiting for my ID to come in the mail. But once it does come in the mail, I'm definitely going to be talking about it in a future video. Probably the first video I make after it comes in the mail is, I'll definitely talk about it as soon as possible. Even the same day. Unless I just get distracted with other things. But yep, so yeah, I'm gonna be in a very good mood in my first video. But yeah, what my dad and I did today, we actually went to Lowe's. We didn't actually buy anything yet. We just kind of window shopped, but we were looking at furniture for because there's this area, there's this patio in the backyard, in our backyard. We're actually in the beginning process of getting it changed into like a living room / sunroom. And my my Nana is gonna actually help my dad pay for it. They're splitting the price between the two. Nana's gonna help him pay for it. And I'm not even trying to, start up a rant right now, I'll probably do it Sunday. Because unfortunately, I think he is coming over here Sunday, but yeah, the reason, one of the reasons is like she's helping to pay for it is to, basically thank, us for having to watch their dog all the time. We actually did get a 2-month break from it. Well, close to a 3-month break because of problems going on with Nana, so which I am glad she's feeling better. Don't get me wrong. It's just the dog coming back over here is what I'm frustrated about, but yeah, I don't want to get into it right now, I actually have another mini rant planned from my second Metopia video, because things were kind of the opposite in that video. My first Metopia video, I was in a good mood, but I was kind of stressed out in my second Metopia video. Not because of the dog, but because of something else. Because like I said, it's been almost 3 months since we've had to deal with him. But yeah, my dad and I went to Lowe's to window shop. We looked at furniture and like a ceiling fan. You know, patio furniture. And then we looked at indoor-outdoor carpet to put on the patio. And then we looked at like ceiling fans. He actually took some pictures on some, you know, choices that he decided for the carpet and the ceiling fan. He's considering getting like brown indoor-outdoor carpet for the patio. That way, you know, when it gets dirt on it, you know, it won't be noticeable. It'll like blend in. And then he's looking to buy like a 9-blade fan, because it should help with moving air throughout the area, you know, the room. And then we're gonna get like a screen put up. I think in the area where we go to the backyard, he's gonna put like a screen up, and we can like open it or close it, and I think there'll be like I don't know. I'm still not sure how it'll work exactly, but yeah, he will have like a screen put up, and then like he's gonna have like a deck for his grills and whatnot. Oh crap. No. But yeah, it'll be easier to explain once it starts coming together. It's just hard to explain right now when all I have is an exclamation myself, so. But yeah, I'll probably talk about it with you guys as it comes together. I need to make another tiger cookie for the Sunday. White tiger. But yeah. And unfortunately, like I said, the second video, like I said, I was just feeling stressed out, even a bit upset and depressed, and like just left out. So I decided to do a video during that time frame to vent it out and to talk about it. Obviously, I don't want to release the Metopia videos out of order, because that'll just throw people off, so the happy one will obviously come first, and then I'll release the somber one. But yeah, but I've actually talked about it in like previous videos, but my brother having his friends coming over, I know it seems silly, but that was the reason, because it just throws off your routine. And then, it makes you feel left out, too, because you're not hanging out with any of your in real life / in-person friends, so. Green Ethan. Actually, Purple Ethan, Ashton, Eli, all of you are aware, that it makes me feel left out. Having to, hear about, people hanging out with their in real life friends, or even like, especially if I have to actually be in the middle of it, So yeah, I was honestly in a depressed mood because of it. I know it seems silly, but I mean, it's true. But yeah, I just want you guys to know it. It has nothing to. It's not a personal thing between you guys. You know, Ethan. You know, the two Ethans, Eli and Ashton. If you guys are watching this, it's just a general thing. Because unfortunately, you know, I do have in real life friends. Don't get me wrong. But it's just hard to, you know, keep in touch with them, especially in person. You know, we've all gone our separate ways. That's why I'm looking forward to getting into my programs. I'm hoping I can finally meet people in person. Because once I meet people in person and then, you know, I start to hopefully connect with people, you know, it'll, you know, I won't feel left out anymore. We can just talk about it normally, you know, people can just talk about it normally. Me and my brother can, you know, goof off, you know, whatever with his friends, and I can, you know, do whatever with mine. But, you know, right now, but it does make me feel left out when I hear about all these people, you know, reuniting or being able to hang out with, like, in real life friends. Hell, I remember venting about it in the Discord server I'm in with Eli, Purple, Ethan, and Ashton. Because there's a Discord server us four are in together. And I'm hoping, like, you know, once Green Ethan, you know, graduates high school, you know, he can get into that server with us, you know, in the summer of, you know, next year, 2026, once he graduates high school. But yeah, like I said, I know it seems silly, but that was the reason. And, you know, I do go more in depth in these, you know, in the ID topic and, you know, my brother's friend topic in the videos. I didn't want to go into detail in this video because, you know, I kind of just wanted to give a summary of what's been going on. But yeah, once I release those videos, you know, I will give more details on these topics. But since I was, you know, I knew I was going to be talking about multiple topics, you know, I just gave summaries instead of, yeah, C32, you know. Oh my god, I cannot wait to be done with this game. I don't hate this game, it is pretty fun, it's just, you know, some of the stations are handled poorly. Like you said, Purple, or you, not Purple, Green Ethan. When we do get a Scooperia Deluxe, I'm hoping I too am hoping that the bacon station gets adjusted. And of course, freshness gets removed. Which I hope they never bring that back. They did. They made it was a good idea on their end to get rid of freshness. In fact, it shouldn't have been a thing to begin with. Ha ha ha. So, yeah. Screw you, Crystal. Screw you. Yeah, this is sad. We're just now to rank 57, and I used the freaking Tiger Special. Oh my god, this is tedious. Pity. Well, yeah, I guess it's only been 2 days. It just feels longer for some reason. Huh. Probably because this, me having to do the preparations, me, well, rambling, and then, just Papa Scooperia is a kind of a slower game. So, yeah. But yeah, I actually had a discuss. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I remember, like I actually vented a bit about the situation with my brother's friend Curtis, because I have expressed, even a couple years back, I've expressed skepticism of my brother's friends coming over for multiple reasons. So it was finally happening, so I was just stressed out. But yeah, but like I said, I actually vented about it. Oh, of course, shit ass is gonna come. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna complain too much because he's gonna be a star customer, so I'll get a boost. So you know what? I'm actually kind of happy. I just want star customers to get me through the rest of this. That's what I need to be doing. I need to be giving fucking coupons to 4-star customers. 4-star customers to move on more quickly. Oh well, we'll start doing it after today if I remember. But I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I just got the urge to put this video out, like I said, because I wanted to catch you guys. I wanted to catch you guys up, especially Green Ethan. Ashton, Eli, and Purple Ethan. We all talk regularly, and this Discord server we're all on together. But Green Ethan. I mainly wanted to make this video, to catch him up on stuff. I talked about it more in depth, more in detail in my Metopia videos, but like I said, they're still unlisted, unreleased, so. And I'm not sure when I'm gonna, premiere them, so yeah, I wanted to do this video to, hold him over and, get him caught up on what's been going on. Oh my god, yes! 4-star customer and the freaking tiger special combined. Thank you, Nick. You are a fucking saint. But yeah, plus, I know it's been a while since I've done a Papa Louie video, so I know you'll be happy to know that I released another one. But the other reason I've been reluctant is, you know, like, I want to get through this game, but I just haven't been very motivated to play it. But luckily, I got a surge of I suddenly got a surge of motivation. But you know, for a while, I just wasn't feeling it. I already told you, but I am a lot. I do feel a lot more motivated to play Harvest Moon games and Miitopia. So I've been mostly focusing on those. But you know, I do want to try to, you know, but I do want to get this game out of the way. So yeah, I'm back. I just won't be premiering these because it'll be, you know, too slow. I'm kind of limited on slots, you know, premiere opportunities, and I'm not even. Because I want people to be available for my premiere, you know? I don't want to premiere anything only for people to not show up, so I'm trying to time these premieres up right. Whether it be Purple Ethan, or Ashton, or Green Ethan, or, you know, just whoever. I just don't want no one at my premiere. I understand not everyone's going to be available because, you know, everyone has conflicting schedules, but I want to at least have one person in there. But yeah, Ashton is actually in the same situation as me. Well, not so much same, but similar. With the whole in real life friends deal. He's hung out with some of his in real life friends. You know, he's been able to hang out with some of his in real life friends. More recently than I was, but you know, he has vented about also feeling left out because, you know, he has, you know, talked about, you know, attempting to make plans, but how they don't always work out, and how there's always rigmarole. So, yeah, him and I are actually in the same boat. And I was actually relieved to learn that I wasn't alone in this situation. So it felt good for, you know, for him and I to finally vent about that. But yeah, like I said, I'm not 100% sure when I'm gonna start releasing premieres again. I want to make sure at least someone's gonna be available. And I don't want people, you know, to miss them. I mean, if they don't mind missing them, then, you know, that's fine. They can just watch the video after it's been out, but I do feel kind of guilty thinking about how, you know, people who may want to actually, you know, come to the actual premiere but don't get to, so I do want to be careful to prevent, you know, feelings of, you know, those types of feelings too, so yeah, I'm still unsure. Plus, like I said, I haven't, you know, if I were to premiere, I would have to do it like, you know, during the day or like, you know, during the evening, because I've actually been going to bed early, you know, early in the night and waking up early in the morning. So, because like I said, my sleeping schedule's versatile. So, you know, there's times where like I'm in early bird mode. There's times where I'm in like night owl mode. Like, you know, it just rotates all the times. You know, flip flops all the time. So, yeah. But yeah. I know I said I don't want to get too behind on recordings, but I might still make a, you know, I mean like, you know, premiere recordings, you know, these types of recordings that I'm just gonna, you know, record and upload in public right away, you know, it's fine, but, you know, premiere recordings, right now I do want to be, I don't, like I said, I don't want to get behind on you know, though, you know, premieres, so, and too ahead on recordings, so I'm trying to be sparse with my recordings right now, and I'm only gonna be recording if I like something good happens or like, you know, something bad happens and I want to like, you know, talk about it, rave, rant, vent, whatever. So yeah, right now I'm keeping premiere recordings to a minimum. I might do another one on Sunday, like I said, because my grandparents are going to Abilene, and we all know what that means. Like I said, I don't want to get into it right. I don't want to get like into it right now. I'll save it for, you know, Sunday, you know, Sunday's possible Utopia video. But yeah, I'll talk more about that then. Well, yeah. Okay. One thing I do want to mention. And, you know, we actually went to lunch with my grandparents. Like, I think it was back on. Oh my God! I accidentally made an extra tiger cookie sundae. Ugh. Ugh. Blah blah blah. But yeah, I'll keep this going for another day or two because there's still some stuff I want to discuss. But yeah, we actually went to lunch with my grandparents. I think it was on Wednesday. Yeah, two days ago. We went to La Bodega, and yeah, it was definitely something. First, my dad brought up to my brother about Curtis coming over, you know, about how he came over. And then, ooh, all the ice creams. And then my dad was like, it's good. Well, it'll make some of my you know, their other friends want to come over. And then I was like, ugh. I mean, I didn't make that noise, but I did make a face. So my dad, I mean, and I didn't want to say anything to them, so my dad just, you know, he asked me if anything was wrong with my drink, which, you know, there wasn't. I was kind of, you know, not cringing, that's not the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say, kind of getting a bit uncomfortable with the conversation that was going on between him and my brother. So I was like, I made like a face, and my dad thought something was wrong with my drink, but there wasn't. I was just a bit nervous about the discussion between them. Luckily, I was able to dodge the bullet, and I wasn't pushed to tell my dad why I did make that face, because I feel like it could have just caused bigger problems. So, yeah. And then, one of the main reasons I love eating. I do love eating out at restaurants, but I do get a bit skeptical when my grandparents tag along. Which, this will make for a good future rant, and from one of my Metopia episodes, but, they're very religious. So they expect everyone to hold hands and to pray. And number one, I'm an atheist. I can't tell them this, but I'm an atheist. And number two, I don't really like to hold hands and pray and do all that stuff. But luckily, my grandma was actually understanding, because I am on the spectrum, and it is. Not all people on the spectrum, but sometimes we can be uncomfortable with like physical contact. So luckily, she was actually understanding about me not wanting to hold her hand. The other reason too is because I'm not religious, but I can't tell her that. So. But the physical contact thing is partially true as well, so yeah. And like I said, she was actually understanding due to the physical contact thing, so that was actually good. I do still worry about, future lunches with them, but hopefully, as time goes on, she'll remember and be more understanding about that aspect. People can just pray if they want, and if they don't, we can just let them go about it. So, yeah. Then we also got like a really bad rainstorm last week, and it came through New Mexico. Which we've been planning to go to New Mexico for like a couple of years now, but we've actually been planning on it, but every summer something happens. We couldn't go. I can't really remember why we couldn't go in 2021, but it was still the pandemic, so. Summer of 2021, it wasn't as bad because the vaccines were getting rolled out, but yeah. But I don't really remember the actual reason we canceled, but I think we were planning on going, since 2021. But then we tried again in 2022, but we ended up not going because we ended up going to Houston instead. My dad decided to sacrifice the possible Riadosa trip for Houston. That way we could see my mom and my grandparents on her side of the family. But we didn't do it in 2023 because we went to South Padre Island instead. And then 2024, there was just a lot of stuff going on in 2024. Forest fires, my dad's bad hip. I think my cousins were busy with like work, so it 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 didn't work out that year either. And then it didn't work out again this year because they got like I said, they got like a really bad rainstorm. You know, there was like a really bad storm going, like really bad storms going on last week, and you know, New Mexico got a lot of it, so yeah, we're not going this year either, which I'm fine with that, you know. I prefer to keep vacation, you know, I've ranted about this, but talked about it before, but I prefer to keep vacations to a minimum. Once we get into the colder months, we'll go out to Houston because I actually like going out to Houston because that's where my, like I said, that's where my grandparents on my mom's side. Oh, crap! My mic almost fell. But yeah, that's where my grandparents on my mom's side. Oh my God, it's still trying to stay. Damn it. But yeah, that's where my grandparents on my mom's side. Oh my God, stop moving. On my mom's side of the family live, so. And, you know, I have a bunch, you know, I do get skeptical about seeing my mom because things with her are pretty complex, but I still love going out to Houston because I do have a bunch of really good memories of going out to seeing my grandparents on her side, so I'm looking forward to finally going out there again later this year. I don't know, I just worried. I was actually worried sick about it. I mean, I was still looking forward to it, but at the same time, I was worried sick about it when we went in 2022 because I wasn't sure if my mom was gonna like start anything with me or just cause problems. So, and I can't help but feel uneasy again, you know, for this next this coming trip, which will probably which could be, like I said, you know, later this year when it gets colder. So yeah, as I was 2022, I'm definitely very, 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 very skeptical, but excited at the same time. I don't even want to know how long Quinn's been waiting. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But yeah, like I said, I'm happy that I'm actually, you know, I'm a bit relieved that we're not going to New Mexico after all. Plus, my grandparents were actually considering going, just them two. And we all know what that means, so good riddance. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do feel bad about, you know, the bad weather, but the 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 cancellation itself is why I'm happy. I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea and think I'm happy of the unfortunate, you know, weather situation. But that doesn't mean I can't be happy about cancellations that could just cause distress. So, yeah. Now, one thing I really wanted to also mention is Green Ethan, I don't know if you noticed, but I actually decided to start yet another Wattpad project. Oh, nice! Perfect score, gold, tiger spec. Yes. Yes. Edna just hooked me up. But yep, I started another writing. I know I just started one, but I got the inspiration to start another one. You know how it is having ADHD, you know. It's hard to just really stick to like one project. We always have to be bouncing off the walls, starting new projects, you know. Because we constantly get new ideas and then like we stick to that for a while, then we get another idea, then we stick to that, you know. It's just how a lot of us ADHD, well, I mean, I'm not diagnosed, but I do highly suspect I have it. And you know how people with ADHD, you know, it's hard for them to stick to like a single task, you know. They always get the inspiration to like start new projects or you know to start fresh on stuff, and you know that's how my brain works as well. So yeah. But yeah, remember how I published that one story of like us five in the Flipverse? Me, the two Ethans, Ashton, and Eli. Well, I actually decided to do a similar one, but this time in Grimsboro, you know, the setting of the first season of Criminal Case. So yeah, I'm gonna be focused on that project for a while. Don't worry, Green Ethan. When you're ready to resume our writing trades, you know, I'll be ready to, but I do want to still have my own projects to work alongside that. And yeah, I know Green Ethan and Eli, you guys haven't met yet, but I told Eli, like, you know, if once Green Ethan starts commenting on my stuff again, I'll let him know and he can just reply to those comments. Cause, you know, he decided that's how he'll feel the most comfortable. So Green Ethan, if you're reading this before, you know, all that happens, you know, I'm just letting you know, you'll have a guy named Eli trying to talk to you. Don't worry. He's not like one of those scammers or anything that we've been getting. You know, he's just a friend that I want to introduce to you, that I want you, you know, to introduce to you, and vice versa. I want to introduce you to him as well. But yeah, I'll let Eli know once you comment on my stuff, Green Ethan, and you know, I'll just tell him to, you know, send a message like, hey, I'm Eli, I'm friends with, you know, Shauna, Purple Ethan, Shauna, Purple Ethan, and Ashton, you know. I'll have him say something similar to that, so, you know, you'll know that the account's legit. And you guys can just, you know, talk on Wattpad, you know, get to know each other. And when you're ready to return to Discord next summer, then hopefully you guys will be comfortable talking to each other on Discord. But yeah, I'm gonna end it off here, guys. I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.